The Trumpet Daily is presented by Stephen Flurry. The program analyzes world news and history from a distinct perspective and compares current events to prophecies found in the Bible. The program also offers free educational publications, including the Trumpet News Magazine and books and booklets. The Trumpet Daily is produced at the Philadelphia Church of God's home campus in Edmond, Oklahoma, and its sister campus in Edstone, England. More information is available at thetrumpet.com.
The Trumpet Daily program begins right now.
Today's world news, what it means, where it's taking us.
I bring you the one and only possible message of world peace.
This is a message of hope, tremendous hope. And he said unto me, you must prophesy again.
The Trumpet Daily program begins right now.
Start your tape right now, because I'm about to tell you the truth. And F you if you can't handle the truth. This version of Biden, intellectually, analytically, is the best Biden ever. If it weren't the truth, I wouldn't say it. I think he's better than he's ever been.
President Biden has a photographic memory. His understanding and mastery of a complicated geopolitical situation is remarkable.
He is sharp, intensely probing, and detail-oriented and focused.
Any concerns from anyone who has met with President Biden about him seeming a little slower?
No. This is the entire election as far as I'm concerned. The entire world will be watching. If you are a carbon-based life form, you're going to be watching. If you've got a functioning brainstem, you're going to be watching. Because if Biden goes out there and messes up, it's game over.
Great to be here. Thank you.
And please welcome the 45th President of the United States, Donald Trump.
There are 40% fewer people coming across the border illegally. That's better than when he left office. And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
And by the way, I told you before, I'm happy to play golf if you carry your own bag. Think you can do it?
That's the biggest lie, that he's a 6 handicap of all.
I was an 8 handicap.
Yeah.
8.
Never.
But I have, you know how many?
I've seen you swing. I know you swing.
Okay, let's
not act like children.
President Trump, we're going to...
Let's not act like children.
You are a child. She was murdered by an immigrant coming in. They talk about that, but here's the deal: there's a lot of young women are being raped by their in-laws, by their spouses, brothers and sisters. It's just ridiculous, and they can do nothing about it. And they try to arrest them when they cross state lines.
Thank you.
And in addition to that, we find that the impact on the choice, what I'm going to do is fix the tax system. For example, we have 1,000 billionaires in America. And what's happening? They're in a situation where they, in fact, pay 8.2% in taxes. If they just paid 24%, 25%, either one of those numbers, they'd raise $500 billion, I should say, in a 10-year period. We'd be able to wipe out his debt. We'd be able to help make sure that all those things we need to do, child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our health care system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the the COVID. With dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden.
And the earliest presidential debate ever now in the books and in front of the voters. Tonight, along with Aaron Burnett, the first word on what those voters might make of it from our political professionals, from our CNN Flash poll.
Joe, you did such a great job. You answered every question. You knew all the facts. And let me ask the crowd, what did Trump do? Why?
Right now, as we speak, there is a deep, a wide, and a very aggressive panic in the Democratic Party.
That was painful. He didn't do well at all. He did not do well at all. I think there's a lot of people who are going to want to see him consider taking a different course now.
So there has to be a conversation with the president after tonight, right? Some of those conversations will be from people who say, sir, you should step aside.
A disastrous debate that has the nation fearing like never before another Trump presidency. And not going to lie, Biden's performance in Atlanta was as horrific as it was sad.
I have never seen numbers this bad for an incumbent president during my lifetime.
I would argue that President Obama is among the leaders saying, get him out. I think him putting his hand on his back the other day, walking him off stage, spoke volumes. That's my opinion. I think President Obama is trying to get him to understand he cannot win this.
Hard to believe that was just 1 year ago today, the debate debacle. And it's, in some ways, it seems like 10, 15 years ago. So much has happened over the past 12 months. So many earth-shaking events. You're listening to Stephen Flurry, and this is the Trumpet Daily, coming to you from our studio in Edstone, England. You can get to the live video stream of this show at trumpetdaily.com or at the Rumble channel. Just go to rumble.com/Trumpet Daily. I forgot to bring my laptop with me to follow the chat. You can chat at the Rumble channel. You can also leave a comment. You can email us, td@thetrumpet.com. Thanks to Andrew Loker for subbing in on yesterday's show while we were traveling, and also enjoying another Celtic Throne performance in Liverpool, just about 2 hours north of our Edstone offices. We got a nice comment in response to Mr. Loker's show. This viewer says, just a note to say how much I enjoyed today's host stepping in. It says, I'm sorry I didn't get his name, but he was a joy to see. He was inspiring, likable, knowledgeable, and informative. I wrote down all the literature he presented and will be requesting it. It says, I watch the broadcast every day and always enjoy seeing Mr. Flurry, Mr. Livingston, Mr. Palmer, but felt the need to express my appreciation for today's broadcast. So some good feedback there. And yes, we do have quite the lineup of substitutes to step in, and you might have another substitute or two while we're traveling around here in the next couple of weeks. Lots to get to on today's show. We'll follow up on the Operation Rising Lion, the war that I think President Trump labeled the 12-day war. He wanted that to be over as fast as possible. We covered that earlier in the week. And we'll follow up on that story, as well as the midnight hammer, that bombing of all those nuclear enrichment sites in Iran. But instead of concluding today's show with the feedback from Liverpool, I thought I'd put that up front, and you can get excited about the 3 shows next week in Leeds, I believe, Derby, and then concluding next Thursday night down in London. But this here is feedback from Liverpool just last night.
Yeah, no, it was a fantastic show. Far better than what I expected even. So, really good.
We absolutely loved it. It was brilliant. Yeah, breath of fresh air. Singing along, clapping along. Excellent.
It was beautiful. Beautiful. Lovely. My mother came from Ireland, so anything like this, and we loved it. It was absolutely good.
I thought it was absolutely
It's truly, truly wonderful. People need to know about this. I come rocking to see it. It's fantastic.
congratulations everybody, congratulations to the whole company, and the fact that it's all different families together and that beautiful connection everybody's got. I think that was, that really came across strongly, so congratulations, thank you.
Oh, it was really good, honestly. So I went to the Manchester one, and then I was like, I'm going to take the front row and see this.
What do you all think? It's brilliant, really good. Singing, dancing, and I love the pictures. All the pictures behind us. That's absolutely amazing, absolutely brilliant. They've absolutely loved it, and thanks for letting me involved. But it was lovely. It was fabulous. Loved the little ones, what they were doing really. Yeah, they're the feature, aren't they? Excellent. I thought it was an absolutely brilliant show. I don't know where they all got their energy from. I think it must be something in Liverpool that when they arrived here, it just suddenly whoosh, and Oklahoma as well. Woo! It was amazing. Very like relaxed.
Very warm man as well. Different where I come from.
Fantastic. Yeah, and I noticed everyone was so happy on stage.
You got the biggest relief, haven't you?
No one who was just doing it because they had to. It was all real joy. Absolutely. I'm so energetic. Oh my gosh, I feel tired. Yeah, we're exhausted watching it.
Really enjoyed it. You could feel it building right the way through from start to finish, and it was really enjoyable. Really enjoyable.
Really good. It was. Never seen a better show in a long time.
Yeah, I thought the show was amazing. We've been to a few Irish shows. This was one of the best.
It was amazing. It was so good. I think the talent and the varied talent was incredible. From the musicians to the dancers, it was just a full show. It was amazing. And for Celtic Throne to actually get our dancers from George Ferguson School of Irish Dance in, it was just so thoughtful. It was an experience that we'll actually never ever forget. So thank you very much to Celtic Throne. Thank you.
That's from last night in Liverpool. Sunday, I forget which one we're at Sunday, but that's been as much of a story as the show itself. Just the feedback that we get everywhere that we go. Of course, if you watch the show regularly, you know that the show is received so well down in Israel, and it continues through this leg of the tour here in the UK. We also have WorldWatch today, just to give you an update on what we'll be getting into on today's show. There's a few longer video clips, which might be good, because this studio is a little warmer than the one back in Edmond, so I might have to pat myself down here during the breaks. Coming back to what happened a year ago, as I say, in some ways it feels like it was 10 years ago. They lied for years. You heard it right at the top with the morning meltdown. I mean, the best version ever. And then, since that time, entire books have been written about Joe Biden's mental decline and how it was covered up. Even Jake Tapper, who was in the cold open, has commented on it. That's just 12 months ago. Think about the lies and the deception that we're just used to. I mean, it continues in many other forms today, but what a lie. The whole presidency was fake and phony. And you had Barack Obama just a year ago this month leading Joe Biden off the stage. I mean, we'll get into Obama in just a second. The fact that he's been silenced totally, just as we said all along. I'll play you that montage a little bit later as well. But first, this is what, 3 weeks, maybe 3 weeks after the debate, where the big announcement, Joe Biden, he's dropping out of the race, and then a few days after that, it was Kamala Harris. This is clip 2.
Well, let me say this as clear as I can. I'm staying in the race.
And if Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries and Nancy Pelosi come down and say, we're worried that if you stay in the race, we're going to lose the House and the Senate, how will you respond?
I go into detail with them. I've spoken to all of them in detail, including Jim Clyburn. Every one of them. They all said I should stay in the race. Stay in the race. No one said, none of the people said I should leave.
But if they do?
Well, it's like, they're not going to do that.
You sure?
Well, yeah, I'm sure. Look, I mean, if the Lord Almighty came out and said, Joe, get out of the race, I'd get out of the race. The Lord Almighty's not coming down.
Fox News alert, President Joe Biden's announcing he's dropping out of the race. God must have spoken because he said the only thing that was going to make him bow out was the great Almighty. How did Joe Biden tell the world he wasn't running for re-election? He wrote us a letter. He said, I believe it is in the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and to focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term.
This is leadership. This is patriotism. This is what it means to put the country first and put the party first and put the cause first. That's what Joe Biden has done, and he's done that for all of us.
Joe Biden did something today that Donald Trump is humanly incapable of doing. He put his country first.
We are here today to throw our support behind Vice President Kamala Harris. I'm clapping. You don't have to. It's a happy day. What can I say?
Happy days, for sure. We had some programs after the debate debacle, and then Kamala Harris clapping for her. We had some programs in there last summer where we just talked about this chain reaction and how the pace of events was accelerating dramatically. I mean, just 2 weeks after the debate, you had the assassination attempt where President Trump was shot in the ear. We're coming up on the 1-year anniversary of the assassination attempt, the head tilt. I mean, God was intervening that whole year. And the dear leader, I mean, he was being silenced. But you think about last summer, Donald Trump was immersed into all of the lawfare. He was in and out of court. And then, of course, he's campaigning as well, Butler, Pennsylvania, and other places. And then the Democrats are scrambling. They're trying to find a replacement. It took Obama 5 days before he came out and endorsed Kamala, and the word was that he wanted someone else. He was already losing his power over the Democrat Party. And we, for years, had been talking about Obama being silenced because of certain prophecies in 2 Kings 14, in Amos 7. And has he ever been silenced? This is from the New York Post. It says, 1 year ago this month, attendees packed the 7,000-seat inside the Peacock Theater in Los Angeles to watch a parade of A-list celebrities, George Clooney, Julia Roberts, Barbara Streisand, unite in a common goal to raise more money for President Biden's re-election campaign than had ever before been tallied for a single fundraising event. I mean, this made news. They made $30 million in one evening. They were riding high. It says here, nothing was left to chance. Outside the Peacock, riot police ringed the Gaza protesters. Inside, the biggest weapon was rolled out. Former President Barack Obama appeared on stage with his old number two. The pair of presidents interviewed by ABC late-night host Jimmy Kimmel. Their reoccurring theme, a second Donald Trump presidency would ruin America. And so the dear leader, the puppet master, he was taking the lead just a year ago, taking the lead. It says here, Obama called the current moment a byproduct of 2016 when he said a whole bunch of folks sat out. Hopefully, we've learned our lesson because these elections matter. You got to get out and vote, the dear leader said. Still sharp, still charming, the familiar smile still beguiling. The 44th president deployed all his gifts to urge the high rollers at the Peacock, and by extension, all Americans, to support Biden with money and votes. It says the only problem was Biden. Biden was the problem. It says at the event's end, as he and Obama waved goodbye with Kimmel, the incumbent became catatonic, just as he had 5 days earlier at a Juneteenth concert. His whole body froze as if immobilized. by a science fiction ray gun. It says Obama had to guide his friend gently but firmly off the stage. All of this happening before the debate. Everybody knew. Everybody saw it. We showed you clips of it. And yet they kept lying, didn't they? They kept lying until June 27th. And then they pivoted immediately. I mean, it was within seconds after the debate ended. And you had people finally in the regime media say, yeah, we got to get someone else. Yeah, this was a disaster. And the truth finally emerged from these propagandists that for years had been living and telling a lie. They knew it. I mean, the ones that were up close to the dementia, well, it would be the reporters. They saw him. They saw him on the plane. They saw him on Air Force One. They saw him in the reporting room, the press briefing rooms, all over the place. And of course, the footage that we saw, the rest of us, whether he's at that summit in Europe or this celebrity event that is talked about in this article, or that Juneteenth celebration, just a lot of wandering around. And he was the sitting president of the United States of America. It says here, and even if that were true, why did Obama wait until after the debate, almost 2 weeks before taking action to protect the electorate? By July 11th, Morning Joe relayed the whispering of top Democrats who believed Obama was working behind the scenes to orchestrate Biden's withdrawal. I mean, even that was all carefully calculated. Okay, the dear leader says, yeah, Joe, you got to step aside. And then, however it happened on settling for Kamala, there was no doubt, infighting over that. And we know, the rest of us, we do know how it played out eventually. But he says here, why did it take him so long? And then, even what about the money? $30 million. It was supposed to be for Joe Biden, his campaign. It says, rather than use his enduring appeal to force the Democratic Party to do the right thing in mid-2023, when Biden was still officially mulling whether to seek re-election, Obama held his tongue and hoped for the best. It says, for the winner of the 2017 Profile and Courage Award, the crucible of 2024 was not a Profile and Courage moment. This is another way of saying he has been silenced. He's been silenced. Now, you look at the past year and just all of these earth-shaking events, as I say, coming fast and furious right at us. And of course, for those of us, involved in God's work, we've got Bible prophecy, the sure word of Bible prophecy to help us see where this is all heading. And we may not understand every single detail with these fast-paced events, but we certainly have the general framework that we can work from. This is a montage we've played before of some of the statements we've written and said over the years with respect to God silencing Obama, clip 13.
And that's the two terms, presidential terms of Barack Obama, and now you can add to that his ruling of Mr. Biden, his ruling over him once again. But that isn't going to last very long, I do believe. He's getting too much power, and God is going to have to do something, and I think he's already started moving things, and the tide is turning. You would think, well, maybe God would have to, in some way, remove Barack Obama before we could ever have enough peace to bring Trump back to his job. But you can imagine if he's out of the way, maybe he'd lose his power just by Satan passing on to another Antiochus, helping Jeroboam. You could see that the Supreme Court and other authorities like that would not be so fearful if something like that were to happen, but it is getting to be where it seems like God is going to have to do something rather dramatic to straighten things out and get Trump back to his job. So we'll have to see how things go there. But I think he has to be removed. I wrote in America Under Attack that he's talking about the Antiochus, but God doesn't mention the Antiochus. Why is that? He doesn't mention him here, and yet that's exactly the one he's talking about. And the reason he didn't use Antiochus is because he's beginning to silence Antiochus. And it is changing before our eyes. And you can see that in the news. He's setting out to blot out the name of Israel. And now God is giving him a taste of his own evil. He's blotting out what he has and the power he has. So he's in the process of silencing this political Antiochus. He is totally out of it. He is going down fast. And you can see it. Obama is being silenced. He's not all the way there, but in the end of all this, he's going to be, this verse, he really is going to be totally silenced.
And now that's happened. Totally silenced. We're all the way there. And of course, we're the same work that was saying early on in his first term, going back to 2009, 2010. I mean, we were one of the only ones talking about people swooning, practically worshiping this man, and how they just kind of went delirious, or they got delusional in his presence. And that's even touched on in this New York Post piece. And then, as you saw from that montage, as early as about 4 years ago, we were coming at you with the same message. Okay, he has had this powerful influence, this control. I mean, people worshiped him. The devil used him for will worship. He was an instrument that the devil used. And look at how many people were just swooning in his presence. What happened? Where did that go? Well, he's been silenced. He's gotten a taste of his own evil. It's interesting. He was out, I think, recently talking about social media and news today and how the government needs more control. He's in favor, Obama is, of more government censorship. Listen, skip ahead to clip 4.
But part of what we're going to have to do is to start experimenting with new forms of journalism and how do we use social media in ways that reaffirm facts, separate facts from opinion. We want diversity of opinion. We don't want diversity of fact. By the way, it will require some government, I believe, some government regulatory constraints around some of these business models in a way that's consistent with the First Amendment, but that also says, look, there is a difference between these platforms letting all voices be heard versus a business model that elevates the most hateful voices.
His message doesn't pack quite the punch that it used to. And how ironic, too, where he's out there calling for more government censorship, and God has effectively censored him. Remember how much power they had even when Donald Trump came into office in 2017? And then afterwards, when they stole the election? I mean, that was just 2020 and 21. And Donald Trump, he was silenced. He had no voice. We've pointed that out before, the opening of Lee Smith's book. Trump telling him in an interview, I didn't have a voice in early 2021. And the big reason for that is because of Barack and Michelle Obama, who were working in cahoots with Zuckerberg, with the owner of Twitter, and they silenced Donald Trump. That was just 4 years ago, and the tables have turned. He's gotten as my father said in that montage, the dear leader's gotten a taste of his own evil. And so he can sit there with, one of the few remaining sycophants and talk about censoring news, but he just doesn't have the power that he once did. Barack Obama lets the mask slip again. Everyone can see now. That's from PJ Media. Talks about him sitting down. I think it was referring to that interview that you just saw a bit of there. But he, in talking about the government being more active when it comes to censorship, he says, how do we train, this is Obama, how do we train and teach our kids to distinguish between those things that I think is one of the big tasks of social media? By the way, it will require, I believe, some government regulatory constraints. Yes, we need some government restraint. We need government control over these voices, over these platforms. Isn't it amazing to now see that that this man has been removed? It's helped God's work. I mean, look at the constraints that were put upon our YouTube channel just going back a few years ago. Now, that may come again in some other form because of how much the world hates God's message. I mean, look at the way they treated Jesus Christ. There were those in Christ's day that wanted to silence his message. And we're going to see more of that before it's all said and done. But until we get there, I mean, just take a moment. This anniversary, if you want to call it that, 1 year on from the debate debacle, this was God just blowing things up in their faces. You can't lie about this anymore. You're not going to get away with this anymore. This is not the best version of Joe Biden. Now that's plain as day. It's there for everyone to see. When we come back, we'll segue. We'll come back actually and play the WorldWatch segment, and then we'll segue into some other news items, as I said at the start, about that Operation Midnight Hammer, and then, of course, the Rising Lion operation that was led by Benjamin Netanyahu. You're listening to Stephen Fleury, and this is the Trumpet Daily. We'll be right back.
Herbert W. Armstrong long forecast the arrival of a military superpower in Europe. In a world where European nations can't rely on the United States, one in which they fear Russia and face the constant threat of radical terror, their only hope of survival is to band together. This is what we see happening, and what we see happening was prophesied in your Bible. Request Germany and the Holy Roman Empire to learn about the history of Germany and the Holy Roman Empire, and to understand where the events in Europe today are leading. 3,000 years ago, the prophet Daniel explained that at the time of the end, radical Islam would push against Europe. That time is now. We are witnessing the first manifestations of this Islamist push against Europe, and it's leading to a spectacular clash between these two prophesied kings, the king of the north and the king of the south. What does the Bible say about the identity of these two kings? What about the end time? Will everyone be affected by these events? Request our two booklets, The King of the South and Germany and the Holy Roman Empire. To learn more, please visit thetrumpet.com.
Russia has upgraded and expanded